share, recipe share. Share a little recipe with Recipe Share. Recipe Share, Recipe Share. Share a little recipe with Recipe Share.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Recipe Share, a program on AADL TV, where we take a few minutes to talk about recipes from a featured category. Today's category is 100% local. I'm Beth, and I'm here again with Katie and Elizabeth to talk about our recipes. So, Katie, why don't you tell us what your recipe is?
Okay, I will. Kind of have a lot going on here, so I'm going to try and stay on track. I will say that I was very, very excited about this category in particular so that I could talk about one of my favorite places here in Ann Arbor that I feel like not a lot of people know about, and that's Vestergaard Farms. So it's kind of on the far side of Ann Arbor in Lodi Township, almost to Saline. And it is a natural and ethical farm and farm market. They raise beef, pork, and chicken humanely and sustainably, and they sell items from other local farm and small business places throughout Michigan. So it's just such a really cool little place. They have a fun Instagram account where you can check out their animals. They also raise alpacas, which I don't know, these ones are like particularly cute. They look like Muppets to me. The last time I was there, they had little baby goats too. So it's not a petting farm or anything, but you can go and like check out the farm animals from the guest area. And they also have a really excellent newsletter, which is something that I enjoy reading and really sort of lets me know sometimes when are good to go to the market. Like recently, they just had a fresh, never frozen meat sale. And so something with Vestergaard is usually when you go into the farm market, most of their meats are in frozen cases. So it's just the way that they preserve their meat, which is fine, but like it's nice to be able to get the fresh, never frozen stuff every once in a while. So when I see that they're having that kind of sale, I will usually stop in, which is what I did recently. Got a picture of the big farm barn with their name on the side of it. It's such a pretty little place. And when you go in, before you go into the market, on the front porch, there's usually a vegetable stand with like local produce from other farms. They don't have a lot of produce that they grow there themselves. That seems like it might be changing. But when I went there recently, all of the produce was from Tantre Farm in Chelsea. And so I picked up some sugar snap peas on the way in because those are one of our favorites. Went into the market, got a big old fresh ribeye that's for our dinner and part of this recipe that I'm going to tell you about. And then we also got some brisket, which we smoked recently, which was quite excellent. Sort of an aside. Let's see. Okay, moving on into the market, was looking around, picked up some Calder's dairy butter, which is a treat. And then also some Bees Squeeze lemonade, which is from Detroit. They have different flavors. So I got the classic lemonade and also lavender, which was really good. They've also got a rose, which I'm looking forward to trying at some point. But those were also just like lovely additions to our dinner. Okay, so my overall recipe is for grilled ribeye with sugar snap peas and garlic herb compound butter. But the ribeye and the snap peas is just kind of very, very simple, barely even a recipe. So for the ribeye, you just season it liberally on both sides with salt, pepper, and garlic powder. Let it sit for an hour. Then you just pat it dry, grill it on high heat until your desired doneness. For the snap peas, while your ribeye is cooking, you can just toss them with some olive oil. And we've got a really nice grill basket that we use. Just throw them in the grill basket and stir them for like 4 minutes. Season them with salt and pepper and they're done. But the real recipe that I'm sharing today is the herb compound butter for steak. And this recipe is from Spend with Pennies, the website. And it's just half a cup of softened butter mixed with 1.5 teaspoons of lemon juice. You can put salt in it. My butter was salted, so I did not. A clove of garlic that's minced, and then 3 tablespoons of chopped parsley, 1.5 tablespoons of fresh oregano, rosemary, and basil. And all of those herbs came from my backyard. So it doesn't get much more local than that. And I was super happy to put it all together. Oh, you put some pepper in there too. Just mix it all up, roll it into a log, put it in some plastic wrap, seal it for at least an hour. And that melts all your flavors together. And then you slice it into rounds, and it says you can enjoy it on steaks, vegetables, or bread. I did all three. So it was lovely on the steak. And then we put some on our snap peas because it was just that good. And then we had some left over. So a couple nights later, we had some friends over and we had some rolls. And so we put it on the rolls and everybody loved it. It was just so tasty. I will definitely be making this herb compound butter again. And I hope you all check out Vestergaard because it's a really, really cool place to visit.
That sounds totally delicious. I'm familiar with Vestergaard from driving by, but I haven't stopped. And now I'm super motivated to, because I didn't realize that they sold things from like a bunch of local businesses. That's so cool. You know, I just love that.
Yeah, it's a really neat model. And there's other really good stuff in there too. There's like all sorts of different kinds of potato chips and ice cream and stuff like that. So definitely check it out the next time you're in that area.
Yeah, likewise. I know you've been talking about that place, and I've read about it, and I know they're doing some other stuff in the community, which we don't need to go into, but I wish I would have gone when they had the fresh meat too, but anyway.
Well, they do that pretty regularly, and I guess it must be like that season right now because I just got another email. So keep an eye out for sure.
Okay. Cool.
Awesome.
All right, Elizabeth, tell us about your local recipe.
Sure. So I think you both know we get a CSA from Tantre Farm all through the summer and into the fall. We like it a lot, but it can be a little challenging because you can get a lot of stuff or a lot of like certain items that you have to kind of like work to use up. So recently, a few weeks ago, a little bit earlier in June, we were getting a ton of cabbage. Mostly the Savoy cabbage, which is kind of curly and green, which I really like. And I was like, geez, I like cabbage, but it's a lot if you're getting multiple heads a week to like try to figure out what to do. So I decided that I would make what would hopefully be, my husband was kind of craving tacos. And so I was thinking we could do kind of like Chipotle chicken tacos. And then what would be really good with that would be like a light slaw. And we've also been getting a ton of spring onions, and a ton of cucumber. And so I kind of just Googled a few different like cucumber cabbage slaw recipes, found a super simple one, which was, chopped Savoy cabbage, really thinly sliced cucumber, thinly sliced, it called for white onion. I just used our spring onions from the CSA because that's what we had. And then you toss it with rice vinegar and a little bit of olive oil. And when I was at the farmer's market picking up the CSA, I picked up some chicken, potentially from Vestergaard. I'm not actually sure. It was from a local like meat farmer. So it may have been. I didn't actually like really look. I was just looking for the chicken. And I picked up some corn tortillas that were made locally. And so basically came home, whipped together that slaw, tasted it, decided it was great, and it would complement kind of the way I wanted to do the Chipotle chicken pretty well. And then seasoned the chicken with chili powder, garlic powder, a little bit of cumin, and a little bit of smoked paprika. And just kind of, I cut it in, it was chicken breast that I cut into pieces, and I just put it in a pan. It totally would have worked to grill it, but I think the day that I did this, it was kind of rainy, so I just kept it inside. Warmed up the tortillas. I have a photo here of what the slaw looks like in the bowl. And then we kept it super simple, which is what I'm doing this summer, not super complicated recipes. It was literally just the slaw, the chicken, and the corn tortillas. And I have a photo of that, what that looked like here too. I think my husband put some sour cream on his, but that wasn't local, so I'm not going to count that. But it was super good and easy, and I actually like loved the slaw so much, even though it was so simple. it just was great flavors, and I plan to make it again, even if I don't have those specific ingredients from the CSA. Super easy. It was like a one stop at the farmer's market to grab the chicken and tortillas. And then I had the stuff I picked up the CSA, which had that stuff in it. And it was delicious. I'm actually going to make it again this week. And yeah, I was super happy with it. I highly recommend the slaw. I'll send the recipe for the slaw separately, and then just kind of note what I did with the chicken too. But it was nothing fancy, nothing no one could think of, but it was really good.
Sounds
Great
good.
idea.
I love Savoy cabbage. Did you know that you can freeze your cabbage?
Did you just freeze the whole head?
Well, Katie, actually, you do, don't you?
Or you can cut them in half and freeze half.
Last year we grated it kind of thick. And then you can just pull out handfuls of it through the off season.
That's good to know.
Okay, yeah, that's smarter, I think. Do it like that.
Yeah, it is, because then you can use what you need. So literally like a handful for a stir fry, or
No, that's a good idea. I'm
assuming Savoy will work that same way. I mean, it's a little more delicate, but I would think it would.
Yeah.
You can check though, you may have to blanch it, but you don't have to with a regular. But anyway,
that's
totally.
good to know, because I do, when we're getting like 2 heads a week, it's like 1 head of cabbage per person per household. I'm like, this is a lot.
You can only make so much slaw.
Yeah.
I love your slaw. Sounds amazing though. I love that there's cucumber in it. That's not something that I usually would think of, and especially like in a taco. But the other thing is that like we eat tacos a lot, but we get in a very specific flavor rut for tacos, and that sounds just like totally different and almost more like a fish taco with chicken. But I'm super into it. Can't wait to try it.
Yeah, highly recommend. Easy, light, awesome. So thanks. Beth, tell us about your local recipe.
All right. Well, first of all, it's not 100% local. I did, however, make compound butter too, because that was 100%, because I had Calder butter. I was going to share that. I'm not going to share the recipe. You see that stuff so many times, and I was so happy that I finally took it up on myself. And what I ended up doing, the last bit of it, I had on my popcorn last night, and it was really yummy. Yeah. So compound butter, rah. So what I made was a salade niçoise from this cookbook. Did your mom have this one, Elizabeth?
I don't, it's not familiar to me. She may have, but I can't picture it in her cupboard. No.
They did the Silver Palette cookbook, these 2 women. Anyway, I was telling Katie earlier, this is my 3rd copy of it, because the binding is terrible. And then I just lost my recipe. So here it is. So what I did last week when I got my CSA, I told myself whatever is in the CSA is what I'm gonna make. And so when I saw the red potatoes and the green beans, I right away thought of this recipe. I hadn't made this particular one. It's pretty complicated. I mean, it's got a lot of steps, and I guess the difference between, so it's new red potatoes, which I baked according to their method, but I also was working on, I think I was on call center, and I just had to, they weren't quite done, and then the potatoes just didn't cook right. They ended up being funky, but it sure looked pretty. Here's a picture. The green beans trimmed and halved lengthwise, which I suppose is what French cut means, which the first 5 of them, I was like, oh, this is ridiculous. And then it's definitely worth it, because like you just steam the green beans and they came out and they continued to be nice and crunchy, and they just look so pretty when they're cut thin like that. So there's also hard-boiled eggs, which they put on at the end, just 1 hard-boiled egg, grated, which I've never done that before either. That looked kind of different, because I used maybe a too small of a grater. It looked like cheese kind of. So it's playing with my mind. It was not cheese. But anyway, so what you've got is your tuna in a mixing bowl, red onion, capers, lemon juice, olive oil. Set it aside. You cook the potatoes. Also cut tomatoes in 1/4-inch thick slices. Sprinkle with pepper, salt, 2 tablespoons of parsley. Once you are ready to serve the salad, you toss your steamed beans with lemon juice and olive oil, and then you put your, they had it, so you arrange in a certain way. I'll show you, you'll see in my picture, it's beautiful anyway, but it's arranged with the green beans around the edges, tomatoes, then the tuna goes in the center, and I also put some greens underneath it, so it does look extra pretty and nice. And so, yeah, it kept pretty well, except the potatoes, we weren't real happy the next day, but they were just hard. I would do it again, but it did keep well. And again, like those green beans were still crunchy even the following day. So that was my salade niçoise from the New Basics Cookbook.
That sounds delicious, and it is complicated in the sense that it's sort of a lot of steps, but it doesn't sound like it's anything that difficult, you
No,
know.
it's not.
I mean, and it seems like it would make a beautiful presentation. I can picture, I'm excited to see your photo because I'm picturing something in my mind. I want to see how it compares.
We talked about me sharing my screen, but I didn't get that far, so you'll see it. I can even text it to you. So yeah, even though it wasn't fully, obviously, 100% local, you guys did a great job doing that. I just had, a can of tuna that's not local and other stuff, but
no,
you get the point though. And I also got another batch of the same today, and I don't think I'm going to make that, but I think I'm going to cut those beans in half.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool that you learned like a new thing. And especially since you were like, whoa, this is a racket when you first started out. And then you're like, okay, it's worth it.
Yeah. It really is. Because you know how green beans can sometimes be after, like, if they're not cooked right.
I'm impressed you said they kept so well, because I feel like leftover
cool.
green beans for me are always like not the best. So.
Yeah. So anywho, if we have no more comments about our stuff that we made today, I'm going to say thank you for watching Recipe Share, and be sure to click the link below to look at the event page on aadl.org to find the recipes we talked about today, and share your own in the comments. Join us next time when we'll be talking about recipes that are very berry. We look forward to see what you've been making, so thanks for sharing.
Recipe share, share a little recipe with recipe